Welcome back. We're listening to Dr. Joe Dispenza's Becoming Supernatural. We are currently on chapter 2. Tune in. This is going to change your life.
In this mode, our brains become overly alert and aroused as we try to predict, control, and force outcomes in an effort to increase our chances of survival. And the more we do this, the stronger the addiction becomes, and the more we believe we are our bodies connected to our identities and our environment, living in a linear time. That's because that's where all of our attention is. When your brain is aroused and you are living in survival mode, and you have to keep shifting your attention to your job, to the news, to your ex, to your friends, to your emails, to Facebook, and to Twitter, you're activating each of these different neurological networks very quickly. Review figure 2.5. If you keep doing this over time, the act of habitually narrowing your focus and shifting your attention compartmentalizes your brain, and it no longer works in a balanced fashion.
Wow.
And when that happens, you are training your brain to fire in a disordered, incoherent pattern which causes it to work very inefficiently. Like a lightning storm in the clouds, different neural networks fire out of order so your brain works out of sync. The effect is similar to a group of drummers all banging on their skins at the same time, but not together or with any rhythm. We will talk much more about the concepts of coherence and incoherence in a later chapter. But for now, it's enough to know that when your brain gets incoherent, you get incoherent. When your brain isn't working optimally, you're not working optimally. For each outer world person or thing or place you've experienced in your life that is a known, you have an emotion connected to it because emotions, which are energy and emotion, are the chemical residue of experience. And if most of the time you're living by those addictive stress hormones, you might use your boss to reaffirm your addiction to judgment. You might use your coworkers to reaffirm your addiction to competition. You might use your friends to reaffirm your addiction to suffering. You might use your enemies to reaffirm your addiction to hatred. Your parents to reaffirm your addiction to guilt. Your Facebook feed to reaffirm your addiction to insecurity. The news to reaffirm your addiction to anger. Your ex to reaffirm your addiction to resentment, and your relationship with money to reaffirm your addiction to lack. This means your emotions, your energy, are commingled, even bonded with every person, place, or thing you experience in your known familiar reality. And that means there's no energy available for you to create a new job, a new relationship, a new financial situation, a new life, or even a newly healed body. Let me say it another way. If how you think and how you feel determines the frequency and information you are emitting in your energy field, which has a significant effect on your life, and if all of your attention, and so all of your energy, is tied up with your outer world of people, objects, things, places, and time, there's no energy left in your inner world of thoughts and feelings. Therefore, the stronger the emotion you are addicted to, the more you will place your attention on that person, object, place, or circumstance in your outer world, giving away most of your creative energy in causing you to feel and think equal to everything you know. It becomes difficult to think or feel in any new ways when you are addicted to your outer world. And it's possible that you can become addicted to all the people and things in your life that are causing you all problems in the first place. That's how you give your power away and mismanage your energy. If you review figure 2.5, you'll find a few examples to illustrate how we create energetic bonds to all of the elements in our outer world. Take a look at figure 2.6. On the left side of the diagram, you see two atoms bound by an invisible field of energy. They're sharing information. It's energy that is bonding them together. On the right side of the diagram, you see two people who are sharing an experience of resentment and who are also bonded by an invisible field of energy that keeps them connected energetically. In truth, they are sharing the same energy and so the same information. To separate the two atoms, it takes energy. By the same means, If your attention and energy are bound to the same people, places, and things in the outside physical world, you can understand that it's going to take energy and effort to break those bonds when you're in meditation. This begs the question, how much of your creative energy is tied up in guilt, hatred, resentment, lack, or fear? The truth is, you could be using all that energy to recreate a new destiny. To do that, you're going to have to get beyond all those things in your outer world by taking your attention off them. That's why we use meditation as the model to change our internal state. This allows us to break from our associations to everybody, everyone, everything, everywhere, and every time, long enough to journey within. Once you overcome your emotional body and you take your attention off everything known to you in your outer world, you call your energy back to you, breaking the bonds with your past present reality, which has been staying the same. You're going to have to make the transition from being somebody to being nobody, which means you have to take your attention off your body, your pain, and your hunger. You're going to have to go from being someone to being no one, taking your attention off your identity as a partner, parent, and employee. You'll have to go from keeping your attention on something to placing your attention on no thing, forgetting all about your cell phone, your emails, and getting a cup of coffee. And from being somewhere to being nowhere, getting beyond any thoughts about the chair you're meditating in or where you'll be going later today. And from being in linear time to being in no time, with no distracting memories or thoughts about the future. I'm not saying that your cell phone or your laptop or your car or your bank account is bad, but when you're overly attached to those things and they've captured your attention to such a degree that you can't get beyond thinking about them because of the strong emotions you associate with them, those possessions own you, and then you can't create something new. The only way to do that is to learn to call all of that fractured energy back so you can overcome the emotions of survival that you've become addicted to and that keep all of your energy bound to your past present reality. Once you take your attention off all those exterior elements, you start to weaken your energetic and emotional bonds with those things, and you finally begin to free up enough available energy to create a new future. That's going to require you to become aware of where you've been unconsciously placing your attention, and, like separating the two atoms, it's also going to take some energy to consciously break those bonds. People come up to me all the time in workshops and tell me their computer hard drive crashed, or someone stole their car, or they lost their job and they don't have any more money. When they tell me they have lost people or things in their life, you know what I always say to them? Great. Look how much available energy you now have to design a new destiny. By the way, if you do this work well and manage to call your energy back to you, it will most likely be uncomfortable at first, even a little chaotic. Get ready, because certain areas of your life may fall apart. But don't worry. That's supposed to happen because you're breaking the energetic bonds between yourself and your same past reality. Anything that is no longer in a vibrational match between you and your future is going to fall away. Let it. Don't try to put your old life back together because you're going to be way too busy with the new destiny you're calling to yourself. Here's a great example. A friend of mine who was vice president of a university showed up for a board meeting about 3 weeks after he started doing this meditation work. He was the backbone of that university. The students and faculty loved him. He walked into the board meeting and sat down, and they fired him. So he called me and he said, "Hey, I don't know if this meditation process is working. The board just fired me. Aren't great things supposed to happen to me when I'm doing the work?" "Listen," I told him, "don't you hold on to those emotions of survival, because then you'll be in your past. Instead, keep finding the present moment and creating from that place." Within 2 weeks, he fell in love with a woman he later married. He also soon received an offer for an even better job as vice president of a much larger and better university, which he gratefully accepted. A year later, he called me again to tell me that the college that fired him was now asking him to return as president. So, you never know what the universe has in store for you as your old reality falls away and your new one begins to unfold. The only thing I can assure you of is this: the unknown has never let me down. Calling your energy back. If you're going to disconnect from the outer world, you have to learn how to change your brainwaves. So let's talk about brainwave frequencies for a moment. Most of the time that you're awake and conscious, you are in the beta range of brainwave frequencies. Beta is measured in low range, medium range, and high range frequencies. Low range beta is a relaxed state when you don't perceive any threats from the outer world, but you are still aware of your body in space and time. This is the state you're in when you are reading, paying attention to your daughter during a friendly conversation, or listening to a lecture. Mid-range beta is slightly more aroused state, such as when you are in a group of people, introducing yourself to everyone for the first time and you have to remember everyone's name. You're more vigilant, but you're not overly stressed or completely out of balance. Think of mid-range beta as good stress. High-range beta is the state you're in when you're jacked up on the hormones of stress. There are the brain waves you display when you exhibit any of the survival emotions, including anger, alarm, agitation, suffering, grief, anxiety, frustration, or even depression. High-range beta can be more than 3 times higher than low-range beta and twice as high as mid-range beta. While you may spend most of your waking time in beta frequency brainwaves, you also dip into alpha frequency brainwaves throughout your day. You display alpha brainwaves when you are relaxed, calm, creative, and even intuitive. When you're no longer thinking or analyzing, and instead you're daydreaming or imagining, like a trance state. If beta brainwaves indicate where you are placing the majority of your attention on your outer world, alpha brainwaves indicate when you are placing more of your attention on your inner world. Theta frequency brainwaves take over in the twilight stage when your mind is still awake, but your body is drifting off to sleep. This frequency is also associated with deep states of meditation. Delta frequency brainwaves usually come during deep restorative sleep. However, over the last 4 years, my research team and I have recorded several students who can move into very deep delta brainwaves during meditation. Their bodies are deeply asleep, and they're not dreaming, but their brain scans show that their brains are processing very high amplitudes of energy. As a result, they report having profound mystical experiences of oneness, feeling connected to everyone and everything in the universe. See figure 2.7 to compare the different brainwave states.
Viral TikTok, bro. Viral TikTok.
Gamma frequency brainwaves indicate what I call a superconscious state. This high frequency energy occurs when the brain gets aroused from an internal event. One of the most common examples is during meditation when your eyes are closed and you are going within, instead of an event that happens outside the body. We'll talk more about gamma brainwaves in later chapters. One of the biggest challenges people have when they meditate is switching out of high range and even mid-range beta and slipping into alpha and then theta brainwave frequencies. It's absolutely vital to do so, though, because when they slow down their brainwaves to these other frequencies, they are no longer paying attention to the outer world and all the distractions they're so used to thinking about when they're under stress. And since they're not analyzing and strategizing, trying to prepare for the worst case scenario in their future based on their fearful memories of the past, they have the opportunity to become present, to exist only in the now. Wouldn't it be wonderful during a meditation to disconnect your association to all the elements in your outer environment, to get beyond your body, your fears and your schedule, and forget about your familiar past and your predictable future? If you do it right, you will even lose track of time. As you overcome your automatic thinking, your emotions and your habits in meditation, that is exactly what happens. You get beyond your body, your environment and time. You weaken the energetic bonds with your past, present reality, and find yourself in the present moment. Only in the present moment can you call your energy back to you. This does take some effort, although it will get easier with practice, because you're living by the hormones of stress most of the time. So let's look at what happens when you aren't in the present moment during meditation, so you'll know how to handle that when it arises. Understanding this skill is important because if you can't get beyond your stresses, your problems, and your pain, you can't create a new future where those things don't exist. So let's say you're sitting in your meditation and you start to have some stray thoughts. You're in the habit of thinking that way because you've been thinking the same way and putting your attention on the same people and things at the same time and place for years now. And you have been automatically embracing the same familiar feelings on a daily basis just to reaffirm the same personality that's connected to your same personal reality, repeatedly conditioning your body into the past. The only difference now is that because you're trying to meditate, your eyes are shut. As you are sitting there with your eyes closed, you are not physically seeing your boss. But your body wants to feel that anger because every time you see her in your waking day, 50 times a day, 5 days a week, you are in the habit of feeling bitterness or aggression. Similarly, when you get emails from her, which happen at least 10 times a day, you unconsciously have the same emotional reaction to her. So your body has grown accustomed to needing her to reaffirm your addiction to anger. It wants to feel the emotions it has become addicted to. And like an addict craving a drug, the body is craving the familiar chemicals. It wants to feel that familiar anger at your boss because you didn't get the promotion, or it wants to feel judgment about your coworker who always wants you to cover for him. Then you start thinking about other colleagues who annoy you and other reasons to be upset with your boss. You're sitting there trying to meditate, but your body is throwing the kitchen sink at you. That's because it wants its chemical fix or familiar emotions that you normally feel throughout the waking day with your eyes open.
Body wants a chemical.
The instant you notice what's happening, that you are putting all of your attention on that emotion, you become aware that you're investing your energy into the past, because emotions are records of the past. So you stop and return to the present moment, and you begin to disinvest your attention and energy out of the past. And then, in a little while, you start to feel frustrated and angry and resentful again, and you realize what you are doing. You remember that your body is trying to feel those emotions in order to reaffirm its addiction to those chemicals. And you remember that those emotions drive your brain into high-range beta brainwaves. And you stop. Every time you pause, settle your body down, and return to the present moment, you are telling your body that it is no longer the mind. You are the mind. But then thoughts start drifting into your mind about the people you have to see and the places you have to go and the things you have to do later that day. You wonder if your boss has answered that email yet, and you remember that you haven't returned your sister's phone call either. And today is trash day, so you remind yourself you need to put out the trash. And all of a sudden you become aware that by anticipating those future scenarios, you are investing your attention and your energy into the same known reality. So you stop, return to the present moment, and once more disinvest your energy out of that predictable, known future and make room for the unknown in your life. Take a look at figure 2.8. It shows that once you find yourself in that sweet spot of the generous present moment, your energy, represented by the arrows, no longer goes away from you to the past and future the way it did back in figure 2.3. Now you are divesting your energy from that familiar past and predictable future. You are no longer firing and wiring the same circuits in the same way, and you are no longer regulating and signaling the same genes in the same way by feeling the same emotions. If you keep doing this process, you are continuously calling all that energy back to you by breaking the energetic bonds that keep you connected to your past-present reality. This happens because you are taking your attention and your energy off your outer world and placing it instead on your inner world. And you're building your own electromagnetic field surrounding your body. Now you have available energy that you can use to create something new. Not surprisingly, your attention eventually begins to wander again. As you continue to sit in meditation, your body becomes more annoyed and impatient because it wants to do something. After all, you've programmed it every day to get up and follow the same routine. Wants to quit meditating, open its eyes and see someone. Wants to hear something on TV or talk to someone on the phone. It prefers to taste breakfast instead of sitting there doing nothing. It would like to smell coffee brewing like it does every morning. And it would love to feel something like a hot shower before it starts the day.
Dang.
The body wants to experience physical reality with its senses in order to embrace an emotion. But your goal is to create a reality from a world beyond your senses that's defined not by your body as the mind, but by you as the mind.
Damn.
So as you become aware of the program, you keep settling your body down into the present moment. The body tries again to return to the familiar past because it wants to engage in a predictable future, but you keep settling it back down. Each time you overcome those automatic habits, your will becomes greater than your program. Every time you keep settling your body back to the present moment, like training a dog to sit, you are reconditioning your body to a new mind. Each time you become aware of your program and you labor for the present moment, you are stating that your will is greater than your program. And if you keep returning your attention, and therefore your energy, back to the present moment, and you keep noticing when you are present and when you are not, sooner or later your body is going to surrender. It is this process of continuously returning to the present moment every time you become aware that you've lost it that begins to break the energetic bonds with your familiar known reality. And when you do return to the present moment, what you're actually doing is getting beyond your physical world identity and unfolding into the quantum field, a concept I will explain in detail in the next chapter. The hardest part of every war is the last battle. That means that when your body, as the mind, is raging, causing you to think that you cannot go any further, wanting you to stop and return to the world of the senses, you keep persevering. You truly step into the unknown, and sooner or later, you will begin to break the emotional addiction within you. When you get beyond your guilt, your suffering, your fear, your frustration, your resentment, or your unworthiness, you are freeing your body from the chains of those habits and emotions that keep you anchored in the past. And as a result, you are liberating energy that is now coming back to you. As the body releases all of this stored emotional energy, it is no longer becoming the mind. You discover that right on the other side of your fear is courage. Right on the other side of your lack is wholeness. And just beyond your doubt is knowing. When you step into the unknown and surrender your anger or hatred, you discover love and compassion. It's the same energy. It has just been stored in the body, and now it's available for you to use to design a new destiny. So when you learn to overcome yourself, or the memory of yourself in your life, you break the bonds you have with everything, every person, every place, and every time that's keeping you connected to your past, present reality. And when you finally overcome your anger or your frustration, and you liberate energy that was trapped in the past, you call that energy back to you. As you liberate all of that creative energy that has been tied up in those survival emotions, within you and all around you, you are building your own personal energy field around your body. In our advanced workshops, we've actually measured this effect on calling the energy back. We have experts who use very sensitive equipment called a gas discharge visualization, GDV machine, with a specially designed sensor called a Sputnik antenna, developed by Konstantin Korotkov, PhD. It measures the ambient electromagnetic field in the workshop conference spaces to see how the energy changes as the workshop progresses. On the first full day of some of our advanced workshops, we sometimes see the energy in the room drop. That happens because once we start meditating and those students have to overcome themselves by breaking the energetic bonds with everyone and everything in their known reality, they are calling energy back to themselves. They're drawing energy from the greater field, and the field in the room can diminish as the participants begin to build their individual field of energy around their own bodies. And now they have available energy to use to design a new destiny. Of course, as our entire group gets beyond themselves the first day, they finally build their own light field. And as their energy keeps expanding each day, they begin to contribute to the energy in the room. As a result, we finally witness the energy of the room rise. To see what this sometimes looks like, find graphics 1A and 1B in the color insert. One way to increase your chances of a successful meditation is to give yourself enough time so you don't get distracted by trying to rush through the experience. When I meditate, for example, I allow for 2 hours. I don't have to take 2 hours every time, but I know myself well enough by now to realize that if I have only 1 hour, I'm going to tell myself there's not enough time. If I have 2 hours, on the other hand, I can relax, knowing I have plenty of time to find the present moment. Some days I find the sweet spot of the present moment pretty quickly, while on other days I have to work for an hour at bringing my brain and body back into the present. I'm a very busy person. Some days when I have just arrived home for 3 days between workshops or events, I wake up in the morning and immediately think of the 3 meetings I have planned that day with different staff members, mentally rehearsing what I have to talk about. Then I think about the emails I have to get done before I go to those meetings. Then I think about the flight I have to catch that afternoon. Then I make a mental note about the phone calls I have to make on the drive to the airport. You get the idea. As that happens and I'm thinking about the same people I have to see, the same places I have to go, the same things I have to do, all at the same time in my known familiar reality, I realize that I am priming my brain and body to look like that future has already happened. I become conscious that my attention is in the known future, and I stop anticipating the known and turn back to the present moment. As I do that, I'm beginning to unfire and unwire those neural connections. Then I might get a little emotional and become impatient and a little frustrated thinking about something that happened yesterday. And since emotions are a record of the past and where I place my attention is where I place my energy, I become aware that I'm investing my energy in the past. Then the hormones of stress may get my brain aroused and my body gets a bit fired up into high-range beta brainwaves, and I have to settle it back down into the present moment again. And as I do that, I'm no longer firing and wiring the same circuits in my brain, and I'm disinvesting my energy out of the past. And if I'm aware of the same thoughts that are connected to those same familiar feelings, when I stop myself from feeling the same way, I'm no longer conditioning my body into the past, and I'm no longer signaling the same genes in the same ways. And if the emotions are the end products of experiences in the environment, and if it's the environment that signals the gene, then when I stop feeling those same emotions, I'm no longer selecting and instructing the same genes in the same ways. That not only affects the health of my body, but also no longer primes my body to be in the same future based on living in the past. So as I inhibit those familiar feelings, I'm changing the genetic program of my body. And since the hormones of long-term stress downregulate the expression of healthy genes and create disease, every time I am able to stop when I catch myself feeling any of those emotions that are related to stress, I am no longer conditioning my body to stay addicted to the emotions of stress. If I do it properly, overcoming my familiar thoughts and emotions of my known past and future, then energetically, neurologically, biologically, chemically, hormonally, and genetically, that predictable future, as well as the familiar past I used to affirm it, no longer exists. If I am no longer firing and no longer wiring those same old neural networks, by no longer thinking about those memories of the people or things at certain times and places, and I keep returning to the present moment, I'm calling energy back to me. Take a look at figure 2.9 and you can see how the familiar past and the predictable future no longer exist. Now I'm in the sweet spot of the generous present moment, and I have available energy to create. I've built my own energy field surrounding my body. Every time I've labored, sometimes for hours, to get beyond myself and find that place called the eternal now, and I truly break through, I've always thought the same thing. That was so worth it.
I hope you guys all got tremendous value from that. Dude, there was just so much to unpack, so much detail and articulation behind the idea of meditating. Dude, how many of us have heard about meditating in the same depth or explanation of understanding that Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about it?
Never in life.
Never in life. Me either.
Never, bro.
Me either.
Yeah.
I'd love to go down the line and figure out what everybody took away, what resonated with everybody on here. And it looks like we got some new people on the call, so we appreciate having you and your input and what you thought as well. But we're gonna start with Josh Ruber, bro. Josh, what was your biggest takeaway? What was one or two things that stuck out and said, "Dang, like that's very interesting"?
Let me look real quick because, dude, there's a lot in there. And I don't want to take away from everybody because I know everybody else wants to say something too. So let's see. Okay, so meditation. Meditation is new to me, very new to me. I'm a very stimulated, energetic, bouncing off the walls kind of guy sometimes, you know? So for me to just be able to hit, like, you know, slow myself down and enter that state, I thought it was gonna be impossible some days. You know, I have found a way to become a lot more relaxing, slow myself down, even, you know, turn down my heart rate and everything like that. And I almost feel like you really are in touch with everything that is going on inside your head. I have so many things that go on inside of my head, and it's pretty crazy, but I've become so aligned with my body recently that I am now almost able to basically, I could write down every single thought that's going on in my head. That's how much I know exactly what is going on, how I'm able to just keep up with it, and how like my body and my mind, we're all aligned because I agree with it. And that's another reason why I feel like I keep so much I guess you could say like interest, and I like, you know, what's the word for it? Basically look into it and it just like speaks to me. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So meditation, I'm not the best at it. I don't know when I'll be. I do actually practice. I do before I go to bed every night. I just try to just lay there until it's almost like, you know, like he says, your body falls asleep before your mind. And I just go into a trance. And sometimes that trance can be a little scary sometimes because, you know, that's when your body literally falls asleep. So you have no control, but your mind is still there and you're drifting in your thoughts. And you just got to make sure you just keep a positive, you know, range of, you know, thoughts and all that. And it'll all, you know, it'll all make sense. And you don't need to worry about a thing, that's for sure. But I'm gonna stop right there before I, you know, keep on going. But yeah, like I said, meditation, it's honestly the key to unlock so much, guys. It's incredible.
Yeah, no, dude, I couldn't have said it better myself. I read a book by Neville Goddard. It was The Power of Awareness, and The Power of Awareness led me to his like master copy book, and he started to talk about the idea of meditation. And he said the best way to practice it is before going to sleep. You lay there at night and you rehearse how your day went from the period of time in which you laid down to you waking up that morning, and just seeing how that day actually went. And then if there was something that you didn't like about that day, you changed it. So you actually felt that changed occurrence. You felt that that specific moment in time as if it were different than it actually was. And so you're recreating the day. It was very interesting.
That's crazy. So it's really cool that you brought that up because I actually didn't even know that that, you know, going to sleep, you know, right before bed is the best time to do meditation. I've heard about people doing meditation in all different, you know, environments. I've heard about people doing meditation during going to the gym. I thought that was incredible. I can't wait. I'll be honest with you. I can't wait to unlock that one right there.
The gym,
because man, I go to the gym so much that like just being on that level, I couldn't even imagine what I could conquer in the gym just alone. You know, outside in the world.
Feel it.
You know,
feel it.
But yeah.
Love and appreciate you, bro. Caleb, what'd you say?
What's up? So really, they just talked about how you had to be in the present moment. You couldn't let yourself go into those past emotions that you felt earlier in the day. That was a major part. Because if we keep going to those past emotions, our past is our future. And so I think when you're creating it on like in meditation, when you are changing those things, it's changing your next day. I want you to meditate and see how it'll affect your tomorrow, because as you just said, what you just said, Zevin, was pretty impactful, actually, because that quote, you that's you're setting up your future. That's you setting up your tomorrow by changing those things. And if you keep putting yourself into that state, then we're gonna create whatever we want, and we're really gonna see a change. I've heard of meditation a little bit. I've tried it a little bit ever since you've introduced me to it, and yeah, I can say I'm definitely more productive than I used to be.
Yeah, yeah. It just allows you to pay more attention to detail. Allows you to actually understand that there is layers to each and every circumstance and situation. Um, and it gets easier as time progresses. I mean, for me, I've been doing it for a while on and off, and at the beginning, it was extremely difficult to even want to do it, right? But then, in the heat of meditation, where I was at my best, it was something that I could drop into like a transient state, like in a millisecond, right? And be able to really control my emotions no matter what was happening in and on my external world. So
It's like zoning out in high school. You go to a different place.
right.
That's like the feeling that I kind of get when I meditate. Is that same feeling I got in high school when I would zone out and like just my head would be elsewhere.
Go into your own world, bro. Go into your own world. Absolutely, man. Hey, I appreciate you. Thank you for sharing.
Appreciate
Tony Anderson.
Yeah, man. So I don't want to beat a dead horse or anything, but I power of awareness was sort of the first thing that popped into my mind when hearing this, and just how in depth, power of awareness was a great starter, but obviously that book was written over 100 years ago, so I feel like this is just taking it to that next level, and just going so much deeper. I truly appreciated that, but specifically, just what stuck with me was just that remembering every time you paused, you settle your body down and return to the present moment, you're no longer telling your body that it is no longer the mind, but that you are the mind. So I thought that was huge. And then to take it even further, just when he was talking about, your goal, the body wants to experience the physical reality with its senses, in order to embrace those emotions and not be able to break those energetic bonds. But the end goal is to create a reality from the world that's beyond your senses, that's defined not by your body as the mind, but by you as the mind. So really just taking that power back and breaking those energetic bonds is what stuck with me. And I'm definitely going to focus on that more as I continue to learn the art of meditation.
Love it, dude. Love it. Hey, appreciate having you here, man. Kelly, what was your biggest takeaway? And you can talk on this thing. Yeah.
Okay. So one little story that he shared was a friend of his, or this person, this example, lost their job as they were starting to get deeper into their meditations and deeper into their practice of mastering their mind. And so one quote that he said was, when people tell me things like, oh, I've lost my job, or I've lost a boyfriend, girlfriend, or these things that aren't so ideal are popping up. He said, don't try and put your old life back together, because you're going to be way too busy with this new destiny you're calling to yourself. And so as we're diving into ourselves and into our mind, and grabbing this power back within ourselves, and not allowing the body to create these habits and these patterns and these paradigms for us, it's just like, it's exciting, and also a reminder that when things are falling apart, it's because your meditation, your mind is clearing the path for something that's far greater to come.
Love it. Love it. Thank you for sharing. And I believe that to my core. Just the idea that things aren't happening to us, they're happening for us. And I think that it was a J. Cole song where he started to talk about the idea of the universe, God, right? And he said, if I knew all things, would I still be feeling a specific way? You guys know the song I'm talking about? I don't remember which song it actually is, but it was very profound. And it just led me to the idea that everything is happening for a reason, and it's happening for our good. It's happening for everything that we want. And we have to give up all of the external. We have to give up all of the things that may no longer serve us in order to get the things that will, we're creating a new destiny. And so we have to leave behind our old layers. We have to leave behind our old luggage. We have to leave behind all of the dead weight. So that way we can ascend to the heights in which we want to attain. So appreciate you sharing that. New, Matt, you there? I know that he was there. I'm not sure if he's still there. And if he's not there, we'll come back to him. Taylor Walker, take it away.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I took away a lot with just meditation. I've never really been a big meditator, but one thing I do know is my own body. And my dad told me nobody knows your body like you do since I was a kid. So, little backstory personally about me, I had to take medicine as a kid, but sometimes I would sneak and not take it. But not taking it allowed me to control my inner self. It allowed me to control my biometrics. It allowed me to kind of feel what I feel, antsy or whatever, and people would think I'm calm or people now think I'm collected or whatever, just because I had years and years and years of practice of just controlling myself. And I say that to say this, I read comics and I read, Marvel comics and stuff like that. You got to become outerversal. You got to become kind of outside of yourself, put yourself outside of your shoes and look at, the repeated actions that you do, the repeated paradigm shifts that you do. I know I'm not all the way there with my certain paradigms, but I know that my mind has always been focused on something greater than myself, trying to attract things greater than myself to my actual reality. So I like that he said, you have to create your future. You can't create your future in the past. That's just like when you're driving a car, you can't think about what's happening 2 minutes ago or 3 minutes ago. Your eyes got to be focused on the road, and your eyes got to be pay attention to what's happening in front of you. So that was a big key thing for me and just driving me towards a better future and towards a better outcome. You kind of have to step outside of yourself and kind of will your body almost into a different mode, it might be hard at first, but you got to just come to who you are in your core and just come to that center point. And then from that center point, you can create anything. And that's just how I think about it. So,
dude, what a great analogy, bro. I hope you don't mind, but I'm 1000% gonna steal that, dude. I'm 100 like I'm gonna be upfront honest about it, bro. I'm gonna start talking about the car, man. You have to be focused on what's in front of you. You can't focus on what's behind you, because if you focus on what's behind you, you're gonna get in an accident, right?
Right.
So that's beautiful. I love that. And then the other thing that I really loved was how well it related to a new like top network series TV show on Netflix called The Queen's Gambit. The Queen's Gambit.
I've never heard of it.
I'm not okay. So you've never seen it, but
yeah, I've never seen
there
it.
are other people on here who have seen it. But for those who haven't seen it, she was the best chess player in the world, and so she went through a similar circumstance as you, where she had to take medication, and it was when she didn't take the medication that she allowed herself to go into this state where she really felt herself. And so she was able to project the chessboard on the ceiling while she was going to sleep. And so she'd be able to look at all of the details. Okay, this is what my opponent can do on this move. Here's my rebuttal, or here's my reaction, my reactive move to the move that they made. And that's how she became one of the best chess players to ever walk this earth. Amazing TV show, bro. Yeah.
Oh wow, I'm gonna have. It's called The Queen's Gambit.
The Queen's Gambit.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out on Netflix. But yeah, that relates to me a lot, then, man. Because when I set my mind on something, like really just focused in on something, like dude, it's just wild when my mind can just think of, man. It almost kind of like I don't want to say it, but it almost like makes me a little nervous how in depth I can be sometimes about certain situations and things and processes and everything, like, and I can kind of speak that in simple terms to anybody. So I just gotta be more. I remember you were saying, don't kind of like. It kind of relates back to the guy that was getting tortured on the board or the slab.
Yeah.
Like you gotta kind of you can't shun yourself and hide yourself from the world, so to speak. And I grew up introverted, but I could be extroverted at the same time. So I just gotta find that equal balance and share my gifts more. But yeah, I don't want to take up too much more time. So
love it. Yo, thanks for sharing, man. Kyle Powell, what'd you think?
Yo, you hear me?
Yeah, it sounded like a robot for a second, but I think we're good.
Hold up, my phone's a little bit low. Let me put it.
Oh, now it's good.
Yeah, I didn't know how low I was, but earlier when Joe was talking or whatnot, he was talking about how before pre-meditation or whatnot, how you have to disconnect from the outer world or outer world. And I know Kelly touched upon this, but he was also saying that you need to take attention away from yourself and focus on being for no one rather than someone. And it resonated with me because while I've been trying to meditate more often in the past few months, just to use that as like a mental refresh or mental reset, whether it be like in the morning, the evening, or like the middle of the day, I always have like this reaffirming faith of just, what I'm going to be in the future, and not trying to focus on the stuff that can actually just make me reset and make me actually change a mindset or whatnot that hasn't been working or something like that. And it's something that I'm going to be taking on and moving forward to actually see if it works. And if Joe Dispenza is talking about it, it's probably worth actually taking effect and taking action or whatnot, and seeing like of just becoming just no one, just becoming like something like a fly on the wall, just like a spectator or something.
Yeah, dude. Allow yourself to be the guinea pig, bro. Try it out. I know it sounds extremely silly. I know it sounds somewhat foolish, but dude, if we try it out and we try it out for a prolonged period of time, I believe that we're going to be very, very, very surprised by the results. Because remember that this is a doctor, bro. This is a doctor, bro. He studies this for his entire life. But yeah, dude, I'm excited for what is to come when we do go into meditation, when we do get a better understanding of ourselves, when we do understand vibrations and frequencies and tuning in and out and creating our own destiny. Dude, that's when everything gets to be really, really, really exciting. And I hope everybody else is extremely excited about that as well. But thank you for sharing, Kyle. Alan.
Oh, hello. How's everybody doing?
Hey, you came in with that heat, baby. Love it.
All right. So what I really liked about that little clip that we just watched was how he said sometimes your brain or certain situations or circumstances or things happening in your life can make your brain or body kind of like fiend for those like bad reactions and those beta wave frequencies that we don't want to stay at. So what I like took from that is that when those situations do like present themselves, or at least like how you can get started on like changing your mindset and changing how you react to certain things and changing like how you stress, is when those certain situations or those things do happen in your life, you have to become aware that that's a situation that usually does take you to back to that beta thinking. And once you can finally become aware, like Tony was saying earlier, the power of awareness. Once you become aware, then you can finally see, okay, this is a situation that usually makes me act like this. And now I just changed my whole reaction to that. Once you finally become aware of your first time doing it, then you're gonna be like, okay, now I know I can do that. I can change how I react to certain things. And then eventually it becomes like natural, because it was already natural that you were stressing over those things because you made it natural. You had no business stressing because of those things. It was just something you thought in your mind. So the first step to that is just becoming aware when one of those situations comes. Okay, this is how, like, not essentially looking in the past, but like kind of comparing to the past just to get started. And then eventually you're not even thinking about it. It's just natural. So compare, okay, this is something that usually made me react like this, but now I have no reaction to it, or I'm still at peace. I'm still doing good. I don't need that reaction anymore. Once you finally have that awareness, you'll be able to move forward with this whole, like, changing your mindset and changing everything that you're thinking about and how you react to those things, and finally going from alpha to theta to gamma, and, so on and so forth.
Without going into too much detail, because you don't have to give us a shit ton of detail, but do you believe that this is serving a purpose to find new meaning in the circumstances that you're currently having to overcome?
Yes, 100%, 150%. I'm actually, as you know, Zevin, going through a situation where usually even like 6 months ago, I would have been distraught, distressed, like stressed out, like not knowing what's next, making myself like stop everything I'm doing just to wait on the results, when in reality, if you would have kept going, you would have been a lot further and the results were going to be the same regardless. So now you're just sitting there for no reason. And then you're back on life for something you could have controlled in the first place. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So you sitting there and moping about it is not going to help anything or anyone. So you got to keep doing what you're going to do and making your life better, no matter what the circumstances are. And you're going to be in a better place regardless of what happens.
Man, love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Dude, that is one of the sole purposes of why we do these book clubs, and why I just keep on going, bro, because I'm literally searching for you guys to find value, and it serve a purpose in your guys' life to help you overcome any obstacle that might come up, any challenge, right? You'll be able to overcome anything because you're giving new meanings. You understand what these things are for. And in fact, they're there to serve you. They're there to help you. So it's amazing. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, man. And Will Cameron.
What's up, family?
What's good? What's good?
So we all know, some of you know, I'm Mr. Quantification. I appreciate big ideas, whether it's internal, business related, personal relationships, etc. But I'm Mr. Quantification because I need and I want to know more, and not only more, but I want to know the practical everyday steps that you can take to achieve said results.
Yeah.
And so with that being said, the part about this whole lesson tonight that really tickled my fancy was the concept of the fact that you do have different brain waves. I've been Zevin, shortly before we met in the first half of 2015 was when I first got introduced and started taking meditation seriously. I won't say seriously, but I really considered it as something that I should enact in my daily life. And never ever since then, and it's been almost 7 years now, never had I been exposed to a piece of information that let me know that you have different waves, that the thoughts you emit are not only powerful, but there's different frequencies that you emit, like the alpha, beta, delta, theta, and gamma. So I think I really just want to unpack those, and I think I'm going to listen to this lesson again, just to kind of help myself quantify it a little bit more. But the summation of all this is we have a responsibility to ourselves, not only to attract the world and the circumstances that we want, but it's up to us. We are in full control of those different frequencies from alpha all the way through gamma, and I think that's just super fascinating.
Yeah, Yeah, dude, that was honestly one of my biggest takeaways as well. I wrote it down, but I wrote it down in a little bit of a different way, just because I'm already in practical application mode talking to doctors about this. But I thought about the concept of, well, I've been trying to quantify it too. So I've been trying to get a good understanding of how I'm trying to articulate it out to the world. But they just did it perfectly for us, right? They described the beta, they described the theta, they described the gamma, they described the alpha. Bro, I don't know if anybody wrote it down what alpha means, but it said you display alpha brainwaves when you are relaxed, calm, creative, and even intuitive. When you're no longer thinking or analyzing, and instead you're daydreaming or imagining, like a trance state. Dude, most of the products that we offer, when it comes to the delta 8s, the THCOs, bro, it allows you to put yourself in alpha right away. Damn near allows you to put yourself in alpha right away. That's why I keep on marketing this as the billionaires high, bro, because we're not out of our mind. We're not fucking couched and we can't do anything. We're still productive members of society, but we're not stressed. we're definitely not stressed, bro, because our stresses float, just literally they floated away with the smoke that floated away and dissipated in the air. We literally have the capability and capacity to put ourselves in alpha, and it's only one hit away, bro. It's only 2 hits away. It's only 3 hits away. It's incredible. It's incredible. And so I'm going to practice articulating this, and that's going to be my message. That's going to be my message. Moving forward, that will be my message, bro. That was my biggest takeaway too, bro. Thank you, Will, for sharing that. Matthew, I know that you said that your headphones weren't working. Are they working now or no? I see you in the chat. And if not, that's totally cool. Is there anything that anybody wants to go over?